Countess Naravan Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It is time to continue my discussion on the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons, 5th Ed D&D. Well, where we last left off, we've been going over information in the DMG, and specifically we're talking about some optional downtime activities. Let's finish up today. So, an optional downtime activity? Selling a magic item. Now, there aren't many people in the world that can buy magic items, let alone find them. You as an adventurer, well, you're really in the profession where you're most likely than anyone to run into a magic item. And there are times where maybe you don't need it. Maybe no one on your team needs it. And what are you going to do with it? You could sell it off to someone. Common, uncommon, rare, and very rare magic items can be sold to people. You can find people that will be willing to buy it. You do have to make sure you're in a town or city where it's big enough place, or it has enough extra wealthy people. So like a big city will probably have someone, or a town that maybe has a manor with some rich people in it or something like that are living there. Whatever or however you find these people, it is important to note that legendary magic items and artifacts can never be sold. You're never going to find someone that's be wealthy enough or willing enough to buy that kind of investment. It is important to note that maybe even finding someone can be the source of an adventure if you want that to be one. You could make it that they're questing to find a dude to sell this item to. Now, in general terms, they have to make a DC 20 intelligence investigation check for the magic item in order to find someone to, well, be a buyer. Now, someone else, another player, could help you out in order to give you advantage to this check. Another important detail is I can do this with multiple magic items at the same time. I could have all of them going. Their time period it will take to do this will overlap. But for the time period, if I fail my check, I eat up 10 days of my time looking for someone, not finding someone. Otherwise, the amount of time it will take in order to find someone will be based upon the rarity of the item. Common magic items are a lot easier to find someone than rare magic items. So I've got my set of magic items that I want to sell, whether it's 1 or 5. And if it's just 1, I roll once for it. If it's 5, I roll for each of these to see if I find someone. And depending on each of them, I basically overlap the time. Those 5 may take the same amount of time as that 1. If I fail to sell this 1, fail 1 over here, that's 10 days. I might have find someone that could possibly buy the other ones over here, but that's an advantage of it, is selling multiple magic items does not take up any extra time. Well, it might, depending on if I was successful at all of them and didn't fail at all of them, and one of them tend to take longer than just the rest of them. Now, once I've found buyers, for each magic item I am selling that I found a buyer for, I roll a percentile. I modify this by the type of magic item that it is, whether common, uncommon, rare, or very rare. Then I roll a charisma persuasion check and add that to the percentile. So I've modified it by the rarity, added my charisma persuasion, and checked the top chart. This will tell you how much this buyer, this person that's interested in this magic item, is actually willing to pay you. It could be more than the base price, which is listed here, or it could be less than it. You could then make the choice whether you're actually going to sell it to them or not. And then the fact is that you might not be directly dealing with the seller you're actually selling to. The person that you're selling to will be created by the DM. Whether this is an actual person you're dealing with, or it could be a third party that's buying this magic item for someone else, or it could even be very shady, that you're selling this to a shady person, that maybe there's something illegal going on with this selling of the magic item that maybe your characters know about, maybe they don't. Now let's move on to the next thing, spreading rumors. The fact is that sometimes you want to go to an area and make them despise a villain. Maybe they don't already. Maybe you want to spread rumors about them to kind of ruin their reputation. Or maybe you have a friend or an ally within the city that you want to raise the reputation of, make everybody love them. You can do this. You can go into a community and you can sow rumors about someone as long as they're concise, believable, and the kind of thing people can get behind. Then you can sell rumors. You can do things that can either increase someone's reputation or ruin them completely. A good scandal is always a wonderful way to ruin someone's reputation, whether it's true or not, as long as it sounds like it could be. They will. Now, for each individual or organization you're attempting to influence the rumor of, it's going to... So each individual or organization you're attempting to spread believable rumors about, you look to the size of the settlement that you're attempting to do this in. It is important to note here that each of these will tell you how much time you're going to effectively be spending doing this to be successful. Well, possibly successful. It's also important to note for larger settlements, towns and cities, you have to do this continuously. In the village, you could be interrupted by a small adventure or something, and people will still remember something. On the larger scale, if you're not there to continue the rumor with people, it's going to be forgotten. Now, once you start doing it, every day that you are effectively spreading the rumors, you have to spend a gold piece. Because it's effectively buying people drinks so they listen to you, doing things that effectively get people to have their ears to you. You know, listen into what you're saying. At the end of the time period that I'm making this check, I actually have to roll my check. It's a DC 15 Charisma Persuasion or Charisma Deception check. If I'm successful, I've influenced these people about this person. I can either take their opinion that they have of this person and drop it by 1 level, or increase it by 1 level. Make them more hostile to them, make them like them more. Now, if I fail, people don't listen to the rumor, it doesn't spread, and I can't really spread any more rumors about that person. As soon as I attempt to, it doesn't work anymore, because I've already sort of said something and people are like, I don't believe you anymore. You know, I've become less believable about these things. It is also important to note that this doesn't influence every individual. This is a community as a whole. Each individual within the community will have their own opinions. So especially for certain NPCs that might be in this community, they will have their own individual opinions about this person, not directly influenced by this. It's the community as a whole. Now, the last optional downtime activity I want to talk about, training for a level. Now, this is an interesting one because this is one that when you choose to use it, everyone will have to use it. Effectively what it is once your PCs gain enough experience to gain a level, they have to take an amount of time during their downtime to train and gain the level dependent benefits. Now, this isn't all of them. They gain a lot of the basics, but their actual class abilities, the abilities they would gain for that level of class, spellcasting, special abilities based upon it, those type of things would require you to take that training in order to gain them. The training time it will take will depend on the level that they have. There's a chart in the book for that there. It will also cost them an amount of gold. Not a huge amount of gold, but this again will be dependent on the level that they're training to become, the level that they're training to get to. Now, this isn't to say these aren't all the downtime activities that could be out there. Perhaps some of your PCs need one that they don't have expressed here, or you come up with a great idea for one that your players could have. Regardless, when you are inventing a downtime activity, you have to remember a certain number of things. For one, it can't detract your players from the adventures. It can't be a distraction enough that they're going to want to do this activity rather than adventure. Adventuring is still going to be the #1 thing they want to do. It should also eat up your players' loot for gold they gain in the course of the adventures, even to a small degree. It's a good idea to have them eat that up just a little bit. It could also add adventure hooks. This is a great way that when they're going on these things, it could lead to an adventure. Like when I was saying with using a magic item, it could lead to an adventure. Or if you wanted to, you could use this to basically foreshadow the campaign at a whole. I was talking about foreshadowing previously. This is a great way you can add in some foreshadowing is over the course of this event they're doing, this activity, they get that. Now, the last thing I want to note is if it's something that they're going to repeat that has a success or failure, you might want to consider a success percentile chart, similar to the ones that have been provided with the other downtime activities in this book, where you'd roll a percentile and have a variable effect that even if I'm successful, there's a variable to this that can add to a little bit of flavor to this downtime activity. You can use the examples here in the book of the other ones as a basis for when you're building this. But that's it for today. So, I finished up with the optional downtime activities. I talked about selling a magic item, taking care of that, getting rid of it if you don't want it. Talked about spreading rumors to either improve the standing of an individual organization and community or decrease it. I also talked about using the optional level training rules, which is something that all your characters will have if you apply. And of course, I talked about coming up with your own downtime activities. Just some basic information you're going to want to have if you do it. In the next episode, we're going to move on to talking about treasure. An important thing that your players will get at some point in time. So we're going to want to discuss it. But if you have any questions, comments, anything you want to say, anything you think I left out, please leave in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe to show your support for the channel, the Empire, the work I do. If you want to show some extra support, you can always check out my Patreon, link in the description below. There's some great rewards there. It helps to grow and improve the channel and the Empire. But regardless, until the next time, I bid you farewell.